Namaste to one and all, and a warm welcome to day 4 of our Understanding India course, which is brought to you by Vivekananda Institute of Indian Studies, which is a unit of Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, Mysuru. Well, dear friends, it is it is said that India lives in its villages, and we have been experiencing India over the last 3 days. And what is experiencing India without experiencing the stay in a village or village life or the rural folk, or even for that matter, the tribal experience? So, today we have got the topic as India through its villages and tribes, and we are very fortunate to have with us as the eminent speaker for today Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central Tribal University of Andhra Pradesh, Professor T.V. Kattimani with us. So, from all of us here, we extend a warm welcome to you, sir, for this session. Dear friends, before I take a few minutes to introduce the speaker of today, let me remind all of you that the schedule for today's session is as usual. Between 6:40 to 7:40 will be the lecture, and 7:40 to 8 for last 20 minutes we will have the Q&A as well as the time for interaction with the speaker. So I'll just take a couple of minutes to introduce our eminent speaker for today's evening. Professor T.V. Kattimani, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central Tribal University of Andhra Pradesh. He is a renowned personality in the field of literature and higher education. He is renowned for his creative writing with a social commitment and has produced many literary works of high quality in different forms of literature. His contributions are of a very high order, both as a critic and as a translator. Professor Kattimani started his career as an educationist. His labor and passion gave him immense recognition throughout India, not only as an educationist, but a creative writer, a translator, and of course, a great social thinker. He was the former Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak, Madhya Pradesh, and he has been awarded the Karnataka Rajyotsava Award, the second highest civilian award in Karnataka, for his remarkable contribution towards higher education. Professor Kattimani has been nominated as a member of the National Steering Committee formed by the Ministry of Education in 2021 for the purpose of National Curriculum Framework Development. Tribal and rural welfare have always been the focal points in most of his endeavors, and he is keen on educating the tribal and the deprived youth to put their best strides forward in getting to the mainstream, while of course preserving their own culture and heritage as well. So, dear friends, with this brief introduction, I once again, on behalf of all of you, extend a warm welcome to Professor Kattimani, and over to you, sir. We are all eagerly waiting for your session. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thanks, Dr. Sudarshanji, for encouraging words towards me. I always fondly remember Dr. Balasubramanian's contribution for the development of state of Karnataka, especially tribes. Am I audible?
Sir, you are audible, but I think a little more of volume will really help.
Yes, I will do it. I fondly remember the contribution of Dr. Balasubramanian regarding the tribal education and their upliftment. Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement is a most important institution in India who is working for the development of tribes. India, through its villages and tribals. Yes, as rightly said by Dr. Sudarshan, India is a country of villages. According to 2011 census, we have around 6.5 lakhs villages in India.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, sir. Kindly excuse me. I think the volume has to be a little more fine-tuned and adjusted. We are having a feeble tone. Kindly excuse,
Yeah,
sir.
now,
No, sir. No, I think it has to be a little more fine-tuned.
hello, is it okay?
Better, sir, but not. I think there should be some control of the volume that you'll have to adjust.
Yes. You can
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರದಿಂದ ಮಾತಾಡ್ದಂಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
ಈಗ now hello, is it okay?
ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಈಗ.
Okay, it will come up,
Okay.
My voice will pick up after some time.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. According to 2011 census, we have around 6.5 lakh villages in our country. In the 5th schedule of Constitution, tribes are given powers, facilities, and their rights. We have 645 distinct tribes in our Indian community. Is it okay? Okay. We have 705 notified tribes. Notified means notified by the Constitution, by the Government of India. There are many communities who were under denotified tribes in the rule of English people. They have to be, still they are waiting to include in the 5th schedule of Constitution. There are nomadic tribes, semi-nomadic tribes, denotified tribes, notified tribes in the society. They are all coming with poor background, hilly background, and they are moving around. Nomadic tribes of country, semi-nomadic tribes of the country, they doesn't have any hope, land acquisition. They are moving from village to village. They are working for petty jobs for the villagers as well as city people. Essential characteristics of tribal communities, actually, they are primitives. And they are out of the reach of common people, out of reach of villages, hamlets, and they love to stay in their own place. It is called as a geographical isolation. They isolate themselves from others. Even as Vice Chancellor in Amarkantak in central India, whenever I used to go to meet Agaria tribes or Gon tribes who are living in thick forest or Baiga tribes, immediately men and women will disappear in the forest. Only old people and students will be remain. The isolation themselves, geographical isolation is the main characteristics of tribes, and they possess distinct culture. They have distinct culture of dress, culture of living style, culture of food style, lifestyle, culture of talking, culture of preparation, they are distinct. They are shy of unknown person, new person, other person. They don't want to connect themselves with the other world. And they are economically, obviously, backward also. Economically, they are, backward also. They live in various ecological geoclimate conditions. Some people, some special tribes, they live in the middle of the forest. Some people will live the end of the forest. Some people, but the middle of the forest or around the forest, they have only one profession, that is dealing with forest. That is going to forest, never they disturb the forest, never they disturb the water bodies, water resources, and whatever specified by Government of India earlier, they were allowed 24 minor forest products. Now, thanks to Honorable Prime Minister, that 24 have been extended to 50. For example, Tendupatta is one among them. Tamarind is one among them. Mahua fruits is one among them. They have nutritional value, they have commercial value, and they have, distinct relation with these tribes. Out of these around 645 distinct tribes, we have 75 scheduled tribes known as particularly vulnerable tribal groups, PVTGs. Who are characterized? These people have been characterized there. I lived with one PVTG, that is Baiga tribe of Central India. Baiga tribe, they have their own language that is called Baigani. Baigani. Baiga tribes are famous for their medicinal knowledge system. I will talk later. These people are characterized as pre-agriculture level of technology. Their agricultural technology is much behind, or they have their own agriculture, pattern of agriculture along with them. Stagnant or declining population. Try to understand their growth of population. India is famous for growth of population. But these PVTG's population rate is stagnant or declining. Their population is coming down. Their population is coming down every year by year, or they are stagnant. They are suffering from particular very special illness. For Baiga, what I have seen, and our industry has started initiation of study, that is sickle cell anemia of Baiga tribe in Central India. For sickle cell anemia, there is no medicine in the world. There is no medicine in the world. It is like, we have to correct them only by lifestyle. We have to treat the sickle cell anemia patient only by proper fooding, only by supplements, not by any particular treatment. And their literacy rate of these PVTGs are very low, very low. Why their literacy rate is low? Why they are economically poor? Why their population is coming down? Why they are not mixing with the other world? Even they are not mixing with the other tribal groups also. Not only that, what I have observed, what I have seen, I might have published two major articles on Baigas and Baiganis and their customs and traditions in English. Maybe these two articles are around covers 70 pages, 70 pages, where my observations are even a Baiga, Dhaniram, does not want to mix up with another Lakshman. He will build his house, some distant place from Lakshman's house. Even though Lakshman is a Baiga, his brother, but they love to live alone. They love to stay alone. And this is the distinct special feature of these tribes. What is their economic level? Because of this, the poorest poor, poorest poor, in front of GDP, in front of modern economy, according to modern economists, they are poorest poor. But according to them, their happiness scale, their happiness rate is higher than all of us. The GDP says, how many phones you have, how many TVs you have, how many washing machines you have, do you have water coolers or not, do you have fridge or not, do you have what type of flooring you have done, what type of two-wheelers and four-wheelers do you have, how many bank balance with you, how many gold is with you, ornaments with you. These are the parameters of modern GDP. But Baiga's GDP, tribe's GDP level is, that is happiness index. How they are happy with, they doesn't have fridge, they doesn't have vehicle, they doesn't have even bullock cart. There is no tradition of bullock cart. Or if they have bullock cart, ownership of bullock cart or ox, how the bullock cart will go to the top of the hill? Because there is no way, there is only Pagadandi, small, narrow way. How tribal lifestyle is different from village lifestyle. They are living, some Baiga tribes, some PVTGs are living nearby villages, but they are not regular visitors of villages. Never they were forbidden by villagers. In fact, in central India, one can see the PVTGs, the tribes are carrying a most modest respect from the society. Society, the modern society, the business society has a great respect. The modern society will say, no, this tribes, especially PVTGs, never lie. I know I have long discussions with police officers, revenue officers of that area. One police officer, a senior officer, told me, these tribes, if they commit a crime, a mistake, after commitment, that mistake, crime, straight away they will come to police station to report that, stop, I have done this, I have murdered, I have committed, I made theft, because there was a reason. Even Bhilala tribe between Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, this Bhilala tribe people, Bhil and Bhilala, they are famous, they are very, sometimes we can say their temperament is very high. For small petty reasons, they will kill people, kill each other. Once crime has happened, they will bring the head. After cutting, they will bring the head to police station to say that, "Stop, this I committed." This is the lifestyle of tribes in India. we know the census of 2011, according to this census, 10.43 crore people, tribes are there in India. It means it is 8.6 of the total population of India. The House will be happy to know this around 10.5 crore people of tribes. Out of them, 90% of these tribes, this tribal population lives in villages. Only 10% or less than 10% lives in urban. If one can see India, which consists of more than 6 lakhs villages, hamlets, out of these tribes are 90% tribes are in villages. 90% tribes are in hills. 90% tribes are in forest or nearby forest. Why they love to live in forest? Why they love to live in nearby forest? It is again a big science. It is again big psyche. It is again a big way of lifestyle, because they born in forest. They grown up with animals, cruel animals. They grown up with the lions. They grown up with the tigers, cheetah, elephants, and they grown up with played with snakes and many things, platforms. This is how, and their whole economy depends upon forest. Other than forest products, collection of forest products, tribes doesn't know about modern skills and occupation. Education, because education is always away from tribes. But tribes, they have their own educational system. Like tribal, village India, they have their own knowledge system. I want to tell, I love to tell always that once upon a time means not 100 years old. In my lifetime, I have seen my village in Koppal district of Karnataka, that my small village was a perfect business system, communication system, reaching system, vigilance system, like a big modern mall. Everything was available in my village. Every cloth was available. Clothes for women, clothes for men, clothes for children. There were carpenters, there were tailors, there were weavers, hand weavers. For weaver, that kapas was available from our farm, and they prepared clothes, and everybody used to go to that weaver, sometimes the shopkeeper, and purchase. And never milk was coming from city to us. Milk was available. Buttermilk was free for all of us. Buttermilk was free for all of us. In my childhood, we used to take our utensil to go to the animal keeper and stand there in front of their house, irrespective of caste. I'm not talking about economic status or caste system. Anybody can go to anybody to collect buttermilk. Never it was for sale. Drinking water was ample drinking water, healthy drinking water. If village people, my village people used to talk about city, they used to say, "Ray in city, even they are purchasing drinking water. They have to pay municipality, corporation for drinking water." This is the status. Means they are selling drinking water in city. It means it is illegal. It is not religion. It is not dharma. This was the great belief of my village. We used to go to Kirana shop to purchase tea powder, to purchase goods, or sometimes sugar. We don't have money, but we used to bring java, sorghum, in a cloth thaili, not plastic thaili. Cloth thaili, waste thaili, and we used to give them the jawar or even moong dal, even gehu, wheat, and after seeing that, he will give us little tea powder, little sugar, and if we purchase edible oil, it was open. It was open, and the maximum edible oil we used to purchase. We mean everybody purchase a small bottle, maybe 200 grams. That was the bottle. And once in a week, there was a Santa. There was a market, weekly market, and the rest we used to purchase. And everything was available. And if somebody fell ill, the whole village will come to advise him. Whole village will come to help him, help her. If some lady is facing something, all ladies will come to her rescue. This was the village. Now I can see a big change in village. It is of 40 years which I am talking. After 40 years, there is a big change in the economy of villages. There is a big change in the technology of villages. There is a big change in the living system of villages. There is a big change in worship, big change in transportation. Every day now villagers are going to city. Evening they are coming back. For what? For livelihood. For what? To work in the city. Earlier, the villages, we do have full of work. Minimum 6 months in a work. Another 6 months, people used to, within this workable 6 months, they used to save something. They used to save something, keep along with us. And there was no bank. There was no loan system. And for a festival, for a feast, everybody from all castes, even I have seen in my village, Hanuman temple and mosque, they were just nearby. In between, there was no compound wall in mosque and Hanuman temple. Now, after 40 years, I can see there is a wall. There is a wall. I told that, Mullah of the mosque and the Pujari of the temple, you have divided our faith. The modernization has divided the faith of villagers. The faith of villagers. This is how Indian villages, even today, after independence of 70 years, we are independent. As member of NEP, I had a great faith. I have a great faith. I'm I used to tell always, write always that Indian education system should take care of village education system. Indian education system should take care of, should study the education available in villages, the education, the knowledge, the richness is available in villages who are this richness of heart, richness of life, is available in tribes. This should be part of our education. Our education system should study a farmer who has never seen the face of the school, but he is a scientist. He has a scientific temper. A mother who prepares food, who cooks food for all of us, she has a wonderful science behind her cooking. If there are 6 people, somebody is suffering from cold, she prepares separate food for that sufferer. And in summer, the food will be something different from food in the rainy season. The food in the rainy season is separate from in winter season. How these techniques, how these science, with all limited resources, with the kitchen of my mother, kitchen of my mothers in the villages is not very rich. Hardly there will be some utensil even to put water, preserve water. I remember in my home there was no big vessel. There was a big vessel of mitti. It was the vessel is made of earth. So where we collect water from well, not bore well, open well, and we used to use that water. Use of water was restricted. Use of water was so scientifically, economically, we used to use. Why? It was the tradition of villages. It was the tradition of villages that resources may be ample, resources may be more, but we should not misuse the resources because resources belongs to everybody. The water stream, the water body, the talab, the lake belongs to everybody. It is not my own property. So I must utilize economically. I remember one example of Bapuji when he used to stay in his ashram in Ahmedabad, near Ahmedabad, Sabarmati ashram. Every day he used to go to a river, Sabarmati river, for bath. While going to take bath, it was his habit to take one balti and one mug to take bath in the river. So while going to take bath in the river, what is the necessity of bucket and mug? Somebody once asked me, like educated people, all of us, asked me, Bapuji, why you are wasting this bucket and mug? You can take a dip in the river and come back. Then Bapuji said, the flow of water of this river, Sabarmati, is not mine. I have the ownership of only one bucket water from this river. So I should not make dirty of this full stream of water. I should take only one bucket of water. He will take one bucket of water and he will come to this thing, shore, and take bath and come back. I believe Gandhiji was a staunch follower of village philosophy, staunch follower of Indian philosophy, Bharatiya Darshan. Villages, the carpenter, see how it was a full mall. once upon how it was a full self-sustained center. We can see now it has a one or two carpenters within village, one blacksmith, potter, and sonar, goldsmith, Veshagar, who are players, who is to recreate the people, recreation which were created by these people, and there were singers, there were dancers, there were ring makers, facilitators, hair cutters, darjis, julahas, weavers. It means everything was available in village. The production, even I have seen, the oil for edible oil, there was a handmade, the machine was available. It is called ghana. Ghana in Hindi also. That wooden machine was to run by a bullock to extract, extract edible oil. We used to take our mungfali, groundnuts, and give them, and in front of us, they will prepare oil, and they will take money from us. That left out of that crushing, the crusherman will take for that crushing also. Separate community is there. Ganiga, it is called Ganiga. They are called Teli in Hindi. Teli. This is how all professions are available in villages. This is how all skills are available. All skills were available. Now, extract of oil, edible oil, is centered in factories, centered in cities, and the oil will come to villages in plastic bags, in sachets, and try to understand that plastic bag, once after use, what to do with that plastic bag, how to dissolve that plastic bag, how to dissolve that toothpaste, how to dissolve that waste toothbrush. This was the concern of village people in India. There was when melas used to have, there were competitions between people, competitions between the village from one gully to another gully, even competitions from one village to another village. Even I enjoyed by seeing cock fights in our village, and cock fights were very famous. Cock fight is even famous in Odisha. Cock fights is very famous in Andhra Pradesh. Cock fights they are very famous in Chhattisgarh. Even people bet on cock fight in villages, and afterwards, after fight is over, they will be eaten by these people also. This is how villages, this is how tribal life, they were self-sufficient, self-reliant. And I would like to tell how villages are suffering. A big change in villages has occurred when tractors have been entered into village. For cultivation, the technology when entered, the ox, the bulls were neglected. The bailgadi, the bullock cart, is now a specimen only. They have been disappeared. Tractor means again consumption of diesel. Tractor means a 6 lakh economy, 10 lakhs economy. Tractor means a driver. Tractor means maintenance. And maybe 1 year before, I have written one article in my mother tongue Kannada regarding invention of technology in agriculture, how the culture of villages, the language of agriculture has been lost. When the culture of agriculture connected to ox, connected to bile, connected to buffalo, there were many more type of instruments to cultivate, and many more ties and knots, many more way of before cultivation, before sowing, at the time of sowing, after sowing, after cleaning the land, after pre-harvest, post-harvest, there were technology, there were ideology, there were languages, separate technical languages. Our society, modern society of villages, they lost the glossary because of intervention of tractor. Till now, we have a very strong economy of villages even today. Villages very strongly bounded, bond of relationship across communities, across religion, across economies, and they have till now, they have human relations, they have human friendship, and at the same time, people always be ready to help each other. People will always be ready to support each other emotionally, financially, physically. In many marriages, even today, in many marriages, we can see the roti making people, they will come freely. It is Shramadana. Pandal making people will come. Even Pujari will come for some small dakshina. And food preparation also will be done by with only cooperation. Water fetching from borewell, water fetching from the water bodies will be done by Shamadana. Again, the collection of people, they will do it. This is how a strong cooperation is there in even today in villages and in tribal land, tribal villages, in tribal life, where one can see that they are self-reliant. They are dependent upon the productions of agriculture, not productions of agriculture. They are dependent on the productions of forest. The forest for them is mother. For tribes, forest is father. Forest is mother, forest is father. Yeah, there is many studies are available in the whole world. Forest is decreasing. Forest is being limited. It is not because of tribes. As our planners, as our economists, as our conservation specialists believe that it is because of tribes, the forest is diminishing. Forest is coming down. Forest is limited now. It is not because of tribes. It is because of we, city people. It is because of construction of big water bodies, dams. For example, Narmada River is stopped by government of Gujarat. A big dam, Sardar Sarovar, has been made. Because of that, we have lost more than 10,000 acres of thick forest, more than 500 tribal villages have been shifted. So we can see development, the tragedy of development. We know that we need water. Gujarat is in need of water. But at the same time, tribes are in need of peace. Tribes in need of forest. Forest, we need forest. We are in need of forest because we have, because of lack of forest, because of destruction of forest, global warming has come up. Because of this, the rain falling pattern has been changed. Even today in Bengaluru, even today in my place, Visakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh, we are sufferers because of heavy rain. It is how that it is the month of October. It is not the month of sowing any type of seed. It means the circle of agriculture, the circle of rainfall, the circle of water falling, the circle of air, the circle of everything has been changed because of destruction of forest. Destruction of forest is not from tribes. They never cut a tree. Given, it is my experience, not it is, I read this, no, I have seen this, that a tribe, if it is necessary to climb a tree in the forest, he will leave his footway. He will, salute the tree, request the tree, Mother, I will climb you. I will put my foot on you. Please excuse me. I need to go and take fruits. I need to go and take honey. I need to go and collect something. Then he will climb. He will collect. While after coming down, again he will perform his namaskaram, salute, and again he will say, please excuse me, my mother, I have done a mistake. Then they will go. I have seen one tribal group. I was standing on the banks of river Narmada. There is a small bridge for vehicles. I was just watching because in front of me, maybe 10 women and 10 men of tribes were moving on foot. They were moving on the bridge. I was just observing. When the bridge came, immediately they have taken their footway into hand and crossed the bridge. It means the bridge is on Narmada Maya, the mother Narmada. But we should not use footways on bridge also, because the bridge is on the above level of river Narmada. Narmada Maya. It is famously called river Narmada as Narmada Maya. I have seen in Amarkantak, here we greet. I will greet Sudarshan ji. Hello, Sudarshan ji, how are you? Good morning, good evening, namaskar. But in Amarkantak, I have seen, in morning, if the phone rings, if I lift the phone, attend the phone, they will say, Narmade Har. Tribes and non-tribes, everybody will say Narmade Har. Even I left Amarkantak, I left that central India. Whenever I talk to people there, immediately they will say, Narmade Har, sir. Narmade Har, Guruji. So much of faith on river Narmada. So much of faith, so much of respect on a water body. For our Indian economy, for our modern economy, river Narmada is only river. Right? It is a river. It is a water body. Water body means it is for our use. You know, God, the God or the nature mother has created everything. According to tribes belief, the nature, the mother nature has created everything more than, what about, according to our myth, more than 80 crores jivas have been created. Out of it, 80,000 jivas, human being is one among them. 80,000 creatures God has created. Out of these 80,000 creatures, we are one among them. But we believe, we have a faith, we have a system that this water body is mine, this forest is mine, this temple is mine, these fish are mine, these tigers are mine, these elephants are mine. It is not so. Himalaya is not ours because we never created Himalaya. Narmada is not ours because we don't have the knowledge of tradition of, we don't have the technique of science of making water. This is the contribution of goddess Narmada, contribution of goddess Prakriti, nature, to support us. Not only support us, the water is for support to crocodile. Water is here to support fish, here to support Jalachara, support living animals, living creatures in the water body. But we forget all these things. But villagers, especially tribes, are aware of all these things. The study says, my experience says, they will, every day they are fond of fish. They are fond of fish, but in the season of rearing, they never go to river to catch a fish because they know Vamsharuddhi, Vamshavahini should be part of this nature. One can study, there are examples in the forest land that never a tribe is killed by a tiger. There is no example. Never a tribe is killed by a elephant. Never a tribe is killed by honeybee. Because the science of living, the science of living together is better known than anybody by tribes. They know how to avoid the elephant, how to avoid lion, how to avoid snakes, but not to kill. But not to kill. We city people, urban people, whenever will see snake, the first thing will appear in our mind, we have to kill. Because it is dangerous, it is poisonous. Whether we don't know it is poisonous or non-poisonous, the first duty we feel, we think that it should be killed. But tribes never kill snakes. Tribes never, even one can see, they won't take milk from cows. They won't get milk from their cows. I asked you one time, with a Baigat person, Arjun Dhurve. His name is Arjun Dhurve in Madhya Pradesh. Arjun ji, why you are not collecting this milk? Out of this 1 liter milk, you can get 30 rupees a day. He said, Saab, this milk is not for me. This milk is not for sale. This milk is for that bachada. that baby cow, baby, that ox, bull has to drink full of milk. This is the culture, this is the living style of tribes in India. Tribes, they have every tribe, they have their own language. Many tribes, they have invented own scripts for the language. For example, the whole tribe in in Jharkhand, it is a large tribe of Chota Nagpur region. Where they live, they have very rich tradition of folklore, very rich tradition of oral epics, oral stories, even oral medicinal system. I know one Mr. Hebron of 80 years old, Hebron, he has published medicinal practices of folk communities in central India. We can see medicinal practices, Baika community, they are famous for medicinal practices. And they won't take money from people. If we pursue to give them money, they will say, stop, give me 10 rupees. That is sufficient. That is sufficient. If we give them little sweet, they will take. If we give them little grain, they will happily take, but not money. But not money. According to their faith, medicinal system is a service of God, service of human being, service of sufferer. It should not be on soul. It should, for this, we should not charge to the people. This is the culture of tribe. This is the nature of tribe. And their living style is so simple. If I have seen, government has built Pakka houses for tribal in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, in Odisha, and in rural part of Ranchi. They tribes never live in those houses which were built by government of their respective governments or central government. For example, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. They never use that. They are vacant. They have been rejected. Why? They told me that there is no air in that house. There is no light in that house. There is no light in that house. And we love light, we love fresh air. So again, they love to live in their own huts, And modern education says that we should bring tribes into mainstream of education, mainstream of life. Once I asked a group of scholars, group of experts, group of vice chancellors who were talking about how to bring tribes into mainstream. When I was called for my presentation, I presented like this. I will just give my presentation in 2 minutes. I have asked you some questions. Dear Vice Chancellors, dear academicians and administrators from IAS and ITS, I would like to ask some questions. First and foremost question is, in our Indian society, we have, in our marriage system, we have dowry system. The boys part, the parents of boys used to take lakhs of rupees, sometimes crores of rupees from bride's parents. Is it good or bad? I asked them, the whole house was asked, then everybody says it's bad. That's great. For your kind information, in tribal communities, there is no, even today, there is no dowry system. Then you tell me, who are the representatives of mainstream? Tribes are weak. They were puzzled. They said, continuity, these are the most new questions for all of us. I said, actually, we city people, we main street people, we have a big ego in our head that we are educated, we are suit wearers, we are, we are having car, we are having helicopter, we are moving in aeroplanes. We know English, we know science, we know technology, we know chemistry, we know physics. Oh, wonderful communication skills with us. But with all communication skills, we are unable to connect each other. Tribes doesn't have technology. Tribes doesn't have Wi-Fi. Tribes doesn't have broadband. Tribes doesn't have mobile. But they have a wonderful system of connecting each other. How is that? They have a belief that I should eat. What should I produce? I should consume what I have produced, what I have grown. Others I should not eat. Others, the other thing produced by other people, I should not eat, I should not consume. And the girl, the bride is the, highest honor is given by tribes because, the father and mother of bride, the bridegroom people, it is called in Chhattisgarh, Kushamati. They will give them, bottle of wine to the father of that bride. They will give a sari to the mother of that bride. They will take 2 kilos of mutton to their home. And the boy, who is going to marry the girl, the would-be bridegroom, sometimes he will be serving their cows, serving their buffaloes. He will be working in their field. It means the tribal community acknowledges the service of the mother and father, the pain of father and mother of a girl, that the 18-year-old girl, 20-year-old girl, for her, they have taken very much expenditure, very much, care, medical treatment, food, clothing. Now they are sending the girl, their daughter, to our home. That we, people from that boy's side, bridegroom side, we are always thankful to them. So we have to serve them. See the difference between tribal culture and the city culture. And even a marriage will be performed, the whole expenditure of food will be taken care of by bridegroom partner, not by girl side. The expenditure which has been occurred will be occurred by food and many things. It will be met by boys side. This is the economy. This is the customs of the tribes. I have seen one most wonderful experience with Baigas in Madhya Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, where Baigas are thickly populated, it is called Baiga Chak. It is called Baiga Chak. Hamlets of Baigas in 52 in number. 52 Baigachak villages, 52 Baigachak villages. I have been invited for a marriage of a poorest of poor girl's family, bride's family. I have gone, I thought I can go and give some money. I stopped my car as Vice Chancellor 1 kilometer away that I should not disturb their harmony, and I started walking. Many young ladies, old age women, were they were on the rush to attend the marriage. I have seen they have one baby, another one baby who were walking with them, and at the same time on their head something was there in small basket. Then I asked one young lady that, Madam, what is this? She said, this is kodo rice. I asked him how much it is. She had shown. It was around 1 kg. It was around 1 kg. I asked them, you are going to attend a marriage feast. Why you are taking this 1 kg kodo? She said, where I'm going to attend the marriage, they will offer me a food, lunch for me. You know, in return, I have to give something. So we have tradition, we should give something which we have grown, which we have made, not we should purchase from city and give it to. And I have seen they might have spent 20 kg of rice for that feast, but I have seen maybe 4-5 quintal of that traditional rice, which is called as kodo, millet that is called as kodo, it was collected. It means the whole the philosophy on this is so simple. The expenditure of the bride side, they are poor. We should give them. So 2 years, 3 years, they are free from botheration, from hunger. They can prepare kodo rice and eat. This economy, this philosophy, this helping each other, and we call them uneducated. I would like to ask the August House, what is the meaning of education in case of tribes? The meaning of education, according to tribes, is not certificate. According to villagers, education is not degree. Education is not PhD from MIT. Education is not BTech from IIT. Education is common sense. Education means doing something from out of my hand. Doing something is missing in Indian education. Doing something has been detached from education, from classroom education, from lab education. Now, NEP is talking about connection between knowledge and hand. One should be ready to make her hands dirty by working. This is how tribal culture, this is how village culture, village education culture. You know, my father and mother, I am the first generation learner from my family. I can further say I am the first generation certificate holder from my family. My father never seen the face of school. My mother never seen the face of school, but they were great scientists. They were great educationists. They were great economists. They were great technocrats. This is how rural India has producing many more scientific scientists, many more technocrats, many more agriculturists, many more pious people. Tribes never believe economy. They never believe munafa. They never believe on profit. The word profit, the culture of profit is never entered into the dictionary of tribes because they believe that I have something to eat in my house, my neighbor nothing to eat at their home. So I have to give them. Whether they will be useful in next year, whether they will be useful tomorrow, whether they will be, vote for me, whether they will be working for me, no, it is not a matter. Doesn't matter. They are hungry, I have something to eat, I have to give them. This is tribal culture, this is tribal ethos, this is tribal philosophy, this is village philosophy also. I think, Sudarshan, I have taken much time. Now I will conclude my presentation that what I speak here, what I spoke here, it is the practice of our Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement. Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, SVYM, is in the practice of studying of making tribes getting the best education, modern education, technological education, science education for tribes to see their own strength, to evaluate their own strengths and scientific temper and mathematical temper and technological temper. By doing so, tribes will be more self-reliant and they will become local pay. With these few words, I conclude my presentation. Thanks to SVYM to invite me to think over it and connect with you all. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Good evening.
Thank you very much, sir, for this absorbing and very engaging session. We have now time for the participants to interact with you. I would encourage and request all the participants to kindly unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question, or even you can put the questions on the chat box. I can take up the questions one by one. I already have two particular comments that has been posted on the chat box. Mr. Pradeep Bellavi has said that it is really sad that the parameters of GDP are so materialistic when compared to the life of both in the villages and the tribal areas. And one more comment is from Mr. Ranganatham. He says, thanks, sir, for giving a very different perspective of life and education vis-a-vis what we have seen, learned and lived so far. So it has been a very unique experiential sharing and your sharing of your expertise, sir. So thank you so much. I open up for questions from the audience. Kindly unmute yourselves if you want to ask questions and interact with Professor Kattimanni.
They should introduce themselves.
Yeah. Please go ahead with your questions, participants. Yeah. I would also request.
Pradeep.
Yes, Mr. Pradeep, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Namaskara, Pradeep Bellavi here. Question is, we heard a lot about the lifestyle of the tribes, etc., and also how perhaps so-called modernization is affecting them in one way or the other. Is the government doing anything to not bring them to mainstream? Maybe that's the wrong thing to say, but to improve their lifestyle or livelihood or life itself, while keeping their practices and exposure more or less to what it has been all these years?
Yes, Pradeep ji, thank you very much. Yes, crores of money is being sanctioned by Government of India for development of tribes. To reach tribal hamlets, this crores of rupees of money will be in hundreds. In between, you can understand. And at the same time, the perspectives of development of tribes of government is not encouraging. It is babugiri. It is making files as spending money before 31st March. Actually, we have to, for example, I will take one example.
Yeah.
We have to give the best education, quality education to tribal children. That's right. In which language we have to give? According to me, in their own mother tongue. Textbook should be in their own mother tongue. The teachers need not to be tribes, but they should know their mother tongue, and they willingly should be ready to work with the tribal children. Regarding the textbooks for the tribal children, should be there in the mother tongue. For Baigani, it is Baiga. Gondi, it is Gonds. It is whole language for whole tribe, like. Then the yathos, the stories, the poems which are available in their tribe, calculation method of their tribe, the stories are available in their tribe, the preservation of water, preservation of rainwater, the practice of preservation of rainwater in their tribe, solid tradition of seeds preservation is available in tribal communities, which is proved now. It is more scientific, has to be entered into tribal classroom dissemination of knowledge and tribal textbooks. After once they enter into high school, slowly state language Hindi, state language Kannada, state language Marathi can be introduced. They need technology, they need Wi-Fi, they need English, they need communication skills to connect with Kattimani or Sudarshan. No. To talk about their knowledge system, to talk about their rituals, to talk about their folklore, to talk about their strengths of their community, to talk about their community difficulties of that community. You know, when our education system will make a Baiga boy capable of researching and making a medicine for sickle cell anemia, then the purpose of education is successful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ranganatham had a question also, along with his comment. He says, how do you move from the current world to the world of tribals and villages? Is it difficult or is the transition easy?
It's easy. It's easy. You know, the education system of today is like we are we are supporting the people, we are telling the students after we are promoting them. After your degree, you should go to town. After getting some experience, you should go to city. After getting another little bit experience, you should go to metros. This migration is called as desperate migration. Tribes migrate, villagers migrate because there is no scope of expansion and extension in villages and hamlets. If this, mobility of a rich person, mobility of a well-read person, mobility of a tribe, there are many more dynamics, many more different. So, this desperate migration will be stopped by quality education. If we make tribes and villagers to be strong, to talk about their own strengths, this is how Modi ji is very much nearer to our heart. Local pay vocal. Now, the world has coined global. So we educators, we modern economists, we doctors have to make them able to talk their own culture, rituals. Actually, what happens now? They will perform, I will talk on behalf of them. Even contracts, painting contracts, dancing contracts, drum beating contracts. I have my own NGO, non-tribe, and I will be having with a contract with some tribe, oral contract. Whenever the university or Sudarshan ji will give me a contract of 2 days for 10,000 rupees, I will call 10 people, tribes. Every day, I will give them 200 rupees. Food and shelter will be given by Dr. Sudarshan. This is the things are moving. And whenever, the great politician of yesteryear, Arjun Singh, who was the ex-minister of Madhya Pradesh, was suffering from cancer. After suffering of cancer, 18 years he lived. It is only because of tribal traditional medicine. He could live another 18 years. There are such very wonderful case studies are there. Many people are working on that, trying to document all these things. It is only possible to make the tribes and villagers to know their strength and technology, interference of Wi-Fi, giving them the capacity of talking, giving them the capacity of presentation will make them more stronger, more sustainable. Thank you, Pradeep. Ranganathan. Thank you, Ranganathan.
Yes, participants, you could unmute yourselves and go ahead with any other questions that you have. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, Mr. Ranganatham finally is very curious to know what motivates you in this field. Since you are working here since a long time, share your ideas and stories which will sustain you, sir. So, I have published one book in my mother tongue, Kannada. 6 years I worked as Vice Chancellor in Amarkantak.
That experiences and experiments I have published. The book, name of the book is Jangli Kulapatiya Jangi Kathe. Jangli Kulapatiya Jangi Kathe. Jangi, fighting. It is fighting. So it's only because of passion. I am basically PhD in Hindi. I was so surprised while studying linguistics in Hindi. There, all linguists of Indian continent will talk about many more languages. When the thing will comes to tribal languages, they will say tribal languages also. That's completed. There are many more tribal languages also. The many more tribal languages are more than 800 in number, and they are very rich. They have full of knowledge system, many medicines, many solutions, many technologies are available in that tribal languages and literature. Then I thought I should study tribal language, because when all books are referring that there are Pahadi Bhashaye, there are tribal languages in Kannada, Guddagado Bhashagalu, then there must be a life, because language means life. Then I started working on that. I have published many couple of articles in my younger age itself. The whole Indian academia started inviting me to talk on that. I was very much inspired by the reaction of people, and started working on that. That a small passion of studying tribal language, literature, life, medicines, and tribals made me Vice Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can take up one final question. We just have time for one final question. 2 minutes are there. If anyone wants to unmute themselves or put up the question on the chat box, they are welcome to do so. Yeah. If there are no questions, then I think we should be able to call it a day. And yes, one comment is there. Thank you very much, sir, for this enlightening session from Mr. Ranganatham. Sir, it has really been a wonderful experience. I should say a spontaneous overflow of your experiential knowledge. That is what makes the difference. And it is always important that one should be able to really be present in the situation while, or at least imagine exactly how exactly you have spent your life working with the tribals, and being with them and seeing them right through their phases of education, right through their phases of confusion, I should say, between the tribals, between the cities, and the sort of the policies that the government are coming up with, the fights, the displacements, all these things are a part of a great learning, sir. And it has been a worthwhile experience for all of us. So you are very consent for having accepted our invitation to share your knowledge with us, shows your passion for this particular tribal community and also for the work that you are doing. From all of us here at Vivekananda Institute of Indian Studies, and on behalf of all the participants, we thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful session.
Thank you very much. I am very much honored by your patient listening and enlightening questions and inputs. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you.